All right. Welcome to chapter 8. I am cough drop still. This pollen is out of control, but I really want to keep going. This stuff, guys, I am getting so much out of this. I really, 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 truly hope that you are getting as much out of this as I am. This is just so encouraging. Best Loser Wins by Tom Hougaard. Thank you, Tom, for this book. Seriously, um, it just changed my day trading forever. All right. So, and it's actually changed a lot of my investments, the way I look at investments and stuff like that too. Because I am talking specifically about day trading prop firms, when I'm doing this, but this is poured out into my actual investing and the way I look at, long term swing trades and holds and bags and all that kind of stuff too, right? So, all right, let's get into this one. So, you can be right or you can be rich, all right? And one of the things that I had a problem with, which I've shared openly on the channel, is being right. I've just had to have, I don't know if it's an ego thing or what it is, but for me, it's just sometimes I just have to be right. And when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's why I don't daily bias very much. And a lot of people are like, you don't use daily bias? I'm like, I mean, I'm aware of it, but I'm not locked into it. Because if I get locked in, right, and I'm laser focused and I'm like a lion hunting a cheetah, and I'm so focused on a long because my bias is long, then I may miss out on the entire day, trying to take longs. Every time the market dumps, here I am trying to take a reversal. It doesn't work for me. I trade at my time based liquidity levels, and then I let the market tell me what it's going to do and which liquidity it's going to next. So just because we hit the daily high, our previous daily high, doesn't mean I'm going to short. I'll probably try a short if I get a nice looking entry model. But if we start putting bullish order flow in and we start doing breakaway gaps and all this other stuff, and I'm getting entry models for a long, and I've got previous week's high above, okay, I'm not shorting. I'm going long. People are like, well, you just went short and got stopped out. But like, yeah, I know. The market toll is telling me it's going long. Go long, target. That works great. You know. Anyway, so, but that's me fighting against the fact that I have to be right because I called that short. Now I'm going long. Now, I think there's a balance with that. You don't want to just be like flipping all over the place and flopping and groping. I've done that too. Actually, I did that the other day and I want to share. I'll create a video on that, but um, you don't have to be right, guys. Okay. So let's go. Hougaard revisits a crucial theme. A trader must choose between the need to be right and the desire to be profitable. He explains that emotionally, we are rewarded by doing right. It validates our intelligence and strokes our ego. All right. So let me ask you guys a question. How many years have you put into this day trading? Right. And then how many hours have you put into this day trading? How many books have you read about this day trading? Hopefully, this is one of them. Hopefully, Best Loser Wins is one of them. If you haven't, go get it. How many books have you put in? How many spreadsheets have you made? How many days have you spent learning TA? Okay. There's a lot of hard work that goes into this. So when we feel like we're doing it right and we are right in what we're doing, it's going to validate our intelligence that we've earned by hard sweat and tears. I understand. Trust me. It took me years and years to really get this under control. And it also strokes our ego. This is one for me, right? I don't post in discords like, look at my profits, look at my P&L, look at the. I do that for a reason. It's not because I'm like trying to hide behind my P&L, like, oh, I don't want people to see. No, I'm profitable. But if I start saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, it's going to stroke my ego and I'm going to strike out. I'm going to have a stroke and strike out. Like, legit, I've seen it. That's why I don't post. When I used to do a lot of high leverage scalping in crypto, I more or less swing trade crypto now because I've been trading the NASDAQ as like my daily trader. But I would post, 100x long, that I made really good profits on. And I would feel that, and I would feel the ego boost, and I would feel the validation, and I'm like, man, look at me go. And people would like, thumbs it up, fire, you the man. I get DMs, hey bro, what's your strategy? I'd get all that, and it would stroke my ego. and then I would almost guaranteed like go on a losing streak. Okay. So we have to really choose, what are we going to be emotionally invested in? The the good feeling we get when we feel like we're right because it strokes our intelligence and our ego, or are we going to take pride in the process that we day trade? That's what I try to focus on nowadays. When someone asks me my process, I'm excited to share it with them. I want my ego stroked because people are like, wow, you have a nice process, right? That sounds really silly, but I really like your strategy. It's simple, it's easy, you know, and that's what I want to feel proud of. That's what I want stroked, right? I don't want my ego or my intelligence. Look at all, dude, I could erase like 85% of what I've learned about day trading and be profitable. I'd probably be more profitable, right? If I could delete that 85% of junk that I learned. Okay. So decide what you're going to emotionally invest in. Okay. And it says sometimes survival. So, you know, being right can cost you profits, and it can also cost you survival. One of the first things I tell people, when you go get a combine, and if you can keep that combine alive for a month or two, even if you don't get funded, and you keep it alive, you're doing better than most because you're surviving. You're protecting the profits that have been quote unquote given to you, right? I know it's just, it's an evaluation, it's a test thing, but if you're not just blowing it, like I do know people that like get a combine, they blow it, get a combine, they blow it, and then they get a combine, they pass, and then they get then they get funded, and then they get and then they blow that, and then the cycle just repeats, right? And we all go through that. Oh man, have I been through that? And sometimes, like when I get funded, I get a little too excited, and I almost blow it like right away because I'm just so excited. I have that emotional like drive. I've talked about it, but anyway, let's keep going. So instead of being right, don't give up the profits or survival. So instead of being right, be right about your process. I know that sounds weird, but anyway, so you guys understand what I'm saying. You don't need to be right. You need to follow your process. All right, so let's keep going. Tom shows how emotional attachment to being right leads to traders holding onto positions too long, ignoring stop losses, or double downing on failing trades. Has anyone ever done these things? I've done these things many times. Okay, so as when I enter a position, I need to be proud of the fact that I'm entering at this level, that I have my TP up here and my stop loss down here, or vice versa, right? This is where my entry, stop, and take profit is. Am I proud of that? Am I proud of the level I chose to trade at? Okay. You don't buy good levels, don't buy at all. Okay. In these big firms, you buy at good levels or you don't buy at all. Okay. Am I proud of the level I bought at? Am I proud of my stop loss placement? And am I proud of my take profit? Can I be proud of that? Because it doesn't matter if I get a W or an L. If I get an L, I should be able to show someone, hey, what trade did you take today? I took this one. Oh, that's terrible. It's a loss. No, it's not a loss. I mean, yeah, it was a losing trade, but look at the process. That was a good trade. That was a good entry. That was a good level. That was a good stop loss placement. That was a good take profit. That's what you need to be proud of, right? That's where you need to be emotionally attached to your actual process, not to the outcome of a single trade. Okay? So I'm gonna read this one more time. He shows how emotional attachment to being right leads to traders to hold into losing positions, ignoring stop losses, or double downing failing trades. I really don't believe in DCAing unless you're doing like a bag, right? Now, if I'm like buying into a stock and it's dumping, and it's something I believe in, and I'm gonna hold for 5 years, go for it. Okay, but if you're day trading on a prop firm, nah, man, in my opinion, some people's DCA may work. They may be a very specific kind of DCA thing. So I'm not picking on that specifically. But for the most part, if you're just, moving your stop further and further and adding because you just want to make back, you know, um, what you feel like you're losing and you don't want to let your stop loss get hit because you're trying to avoid the pain, that's different. Okay. That's a very bad habit. All right. These actions may preserve the ego, but destroy the account. All right. Long time ago, I was working with one of my mentors and I was proud of this trade. I was proud. I was like, check this out, bro. Look at this. Look at the money I made. And anyway, so we got into the executions on the chart and we went in and looked and we saw where I had, price had moved up. I shorted, price came down, but then it moved up and it swept those highs even higher. And I was shorting again. And then it did it one more time. It was like a third leg. I was just in so early and it shorted. And then it just dumped the whole range and like went way down. And like I made all this money. And I was proud of this trade. And he just was like, looked right at me, man. And was like, Bubba, that's one of the worst trades I've ever seen. I was like, what are you talking about? Look at the profit. He goes, dude, let's run the numbers. Let's talk about this. Let's figure this out. And he showed me that if I had used that as a repeatable strategy, it would have been an account killer. He goes, you got lucky. He goes, let me tell you, you got lucky. And he was right. And I remember just being like, wow, what did he just do? He just punched my ego right in the face. But I needed it. That was his job as my mentor, was to punch me in the face and go, no, bro. Like, no, that was terrible. He goes, you should have taken your loss here and then re-entered again later at the top. And he was right. It was not doing it his way was not an account killer. Doing it my way was almost YOLOing the whole account. Anyway, it was a good lesson. All right. So certain kinds of actions may preserve your ego, but they destroy your account. Okay, that's important. Hougaard presents the idea that successful traders think in terms of probabilities, not absolutes. Okay, I've had people DM me, hey, what's your daily bias today? I'm like, I don't really know. I don't like giving people my daily bias, right? Because I feel like they're asking me, should I long or short? And, I don't want people making a decision off what I think, because half the time I'm wrong, right? So don't think in terms of, absolutes. Think in terms of probability, which probability, when you're rolling dice, there's going to be a huge percentage of, losing trades, right? Those probabilities, there's going to be, let's just say 50-50, right? I know 50-50 traders that make bank doing this, okay? A lot of people are like, 50% close rate. It's like, dude, I know a guy with like a 38% close rate and he bankrolls, okay? So I couldn't do his strategy because I just couldn't handle mentally losing over 60% of the time, all right? So I had to find something that was a little bit more of a win rate than that, and actually, the more I do this, it's like the less my win rate's going down, but my profitability is going up. So figure that out. But anyway, so don't think in terms of absolutes, right? Think in terms of probabilities. They don't care about being right on every trade. They care about following their plan, consistency across many trades. I'm telling you, this kind of stuff is the game-changing mentality you need to start becoming profitable. It is not finding the golden strategy. It is not, like making sure your ego is intact. And that's why everybody looks for the 80-90% win rate strategy. I swear I want to make a YouTube video and call it the like 97.6% win rate strategy and go, best strategy ever, golden strategy, golden goose right here. Click now. Click bait. I'd probably get so many new followers and all that, but then I'd have to be like, well, thanks for clicking the video, but I'm going to teach you a 56.8% win rate strategy for real. And, I'll probably get like blown up in the comments or something, right? But the funny thing is, I could be like, but you'll be profitable and you won't blow your combines and you'll actually get payouts. Oh, okay. Anyway, so this is important. Think in terms of probabilities. All right. And I know he's going to go into something down here. So let's just keep going. The central message is this: profitability requires emotional humility. Okay? Think about that. I'm trying to get this cough drop. The central message is this: profitability requires emotional humility. Okay, you don't need to be right all the time. It's like, I really just want to start selling myself on the 50-50. I normally wouldn't say I'd close between 60 and 80. But the more profitable I become, the more I'm actually closing closer to like 55, 50%. It's kind of weird. The more money I make, I'm actually closing less trades. It demands that traders accept uncertainty and let go of needing validation. Okay. You don't need someone to tell you you're a good trader. You tell yourself that. But the only time you tell yourself that is when you buy at a good level, you follow your process, you're proud of your entry, you're proud of your stop loss, you're proud of your take profit, and then you don't care what happens. The L or the W makes no difference. Did you follow your process? Did you buy at a good level? And are you proud of your entry, stop loss, take profit? Okay. That's what it's going to take. Make that your focus. Being wrong doesn't matter if the process is right. Take the L and give yourself a gold star. Okay, the goal isn't to win every battle, but it's to win the war through discipline, repetition, and risk control. And I promise you, this is the only time I have ever made payouts. Okay? All right? Trading prop firms, the only time that I have consistently made payouts is when I am disciplined, when I have been repeatedly doing my process, and when I have proper risk control. Seriously. Okay? When I go outside of this, I'll blow it. Okay? And I don't pretend not to. I still blow combine sometimes. It happens. All right? So let's talk about some actual like self-reflection prompts. All right? So let's get into the study guide. Do I tie my identity to being right in a trade? Oh my word, did I ever used to do that all the time? Sometimes I can still feel it and I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. Good entry, good stop loss, good take profit. I'm proud of this trade, so I don't care what happens. Okay? But talk to yourself about this. Is this something that, you have an issue with? Have I ever held on to a bad trade just to avoid being wrong? I know it's going to turn. I know it's going to turn. Move my stop further and further and further away. And then all of a sudden you lose 3 times as much as you were supposed to. Okay. How do I know how that feels? Because, boy, did I like doing that. Because I needed to protect my ego. I didn't want to admit I was wrong. So what? Who cares? It's probabilities. You're going to be wrong. Half the time. Hopefully less than that. Okay. Can I let go of the outcome and focus on the process? Who cares if it's a W or an L? If you can focus on your process, in my opinion, unless you have the worst strategy in the world, you will make money. Unless you have the worst strategy in the world, you're going to make money. Okay? And if you have the worst strategy in the world, just DM me in Discord. I'll send you a YouTube. Like, hey, watch this. This will work for you. And it doesn't even have to be mine. I can send you one of mine. I can send you 3, 4, 5 other people that I know. Like, here, do this. So the processes are out there. The golden strategies are out there. Can you let go of the outcome and focus on the process enough to be profitable with it? I've watched people do EMAs profitably, Market Cipher profitably. I've watched people, Smart Money Concepts, ICT, whatever, right? All that kind of stuff. Orb's been going around the internet. Do the Orb strategy, bro. Get me some Orb going. I know a guy who uses Orb. I mean, half the time I'm in the same trades as him, but I don't trade Orb. But, I look, I'm like, oh, he's in that trade too. It's just a little bit different of a process. But it's so close that, we're both in it. But can we win with it, right? And that's because we're focusing on the process and not the outcome, right? If we can win with it or not. Okay, so let's talk about some practical applications for day traders, right? And so let go of the ego. Remind yourself that being wrong doesn't mean you're a bad trader. This is huge, okay? Stop validating yourself as a day trader by one trade. Okay, this next statement is kind of big. Okay, think in batches of 20 trades, not a single trade. And sometimes I would say even more than that. Okay, because I've literally had, like 15 losses and 5 winners. And I may be underwater a little bit. Usually I'm like a 1 to 2, 1 to 3. So I wouldn't be completely, like drowned, like where I'm blowing an account. But still, that's a lot of losses. I still may be underwater, but I'm not down for the count. But that hurts. Like when you look back and you're like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 L's, 6 L's, 7 L's. And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. Ouch. Like even that, you're like, wow, I'm closing a terrible percentage. But then you look at the last 75 trades and you're like, oh, okay, 59.7% close rate. Okay, let me just keep going, right? But that is pulling myself out of being so hyper focused on one trade, one day, or even one week, right? I've had bad weeks, I've had bad months, but and sometimes I'll look and be like, is it my process or me? That's usually just the first thing I go to. Am I FOMO? If I'm following my process and I'm like, okay, just suck it up, dude. Your process is going to be fine in the long run. But if I find some, places like I told you guys, I had that like couple months of greed. I was so ambitious that I was just lighting accounts on fire and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, what is going on? And I took the greed index and I scored 10 out of 10. I was like, wow, greed, being consumed. And it snuck up on me. But it's something I worked through, was able to pull myself out of. And once I identified the issue, I was able to counteract my greed. And I was able to trade myself back into profitability. And it was fantastic. Okay. So track your process, track track your process over time. Okay. And track your process over the outcome. All right. If you are following a good solid strategy, and I'm telling you there's hundreds of them out there, seriously. If you're following a good strategy, then you need to be tracking the process of that strategy and not just the outcome. Yeah, you need to know, like, are you hitting 1 to 2, 1 to 3? The guy I told you that closes like 35, 38%. He hits like 1 to 3s on a low end, sometimes 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and that's why he can have such a low win rate, and still like make a bank, right? I just had a really hard time with that because, like I said, it's a 60%. I'm losing way more than I'm winning, so it was very hard for me mentally. I needed something that was, a little bit higher, and so anyway, evaluate your trades based on rule following, not just P&L. P&L is important. Let's be real. That's why we're here. We want to make money. We want to get payouts. We want to do this, right? But you can't evaluate your trading on that. It needs to be based on your rule following. Are you following your process? Okay. So kill the need to be right. I would just say give yourself a 50-50, right? Roll the dice. I'm going to win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And of course, sometimes it's lose, 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 win, win, lose, lose, win, 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 right? We've all done that. If you haven't, just go to winrate.com or whatever, winrate.io, and you can put it in a close, and then you can see, oh wow, I could lose up to like 12 in a row, and then I could win 12 in a row. So kill the need to be right and focus on the need to follow your process. All right, use mantras. Okay, don't need to be weird about it, but this is how you change your mindset from I need to be right. I need to learn enough ICT that I can read the market every day and know where it's going, when it's going. Look how I can call it wherever. Take me one day into the future and I could call the market all day long, okay? And I'm just being silly. But you don't need to be right. You need to be consistent, okay? Stop thinking you're going to learn enough to know where the market's going and know that you're not going to know. And that's okay, which means, let's just say half the time you're going to be wrong. But you're going to be consistent in your process, and that's what's going to make you money. Risking $200 to make 400, 500, 600 bucks. Once in a while, 1,000, maybe more. Okay. That's how you can be consistent, right? You can have a 50% close rate and make money. This one. As soon as I say this, I'm going to move my stop loss tomorrow, but I don't move my stop loss anymore. I just accept it. And the reason why is I tell myself, if the market goes here, my trade idea is invalid. It's gone. My idea is wrong. Doesn't mean I won't look for a new trade, but that specific trade process was invalidated and I was wrong, and that's okay. But as long as I actually follow my process, gold star. Take the L, move on. But honor that stop loss. Stop moving that stop loss out. Okay. Make honoring your stop loss a non negotiable success metric. Okay. If you move your stop, you fail. Give yourself an L. Bad trade. I don't care how good it looks or how much money you made. If you move your stop loss, unless there's some process reason to move it, unless you create some process reason, which I encourage you not to. I don't know if this is bad advice or not. Stop moving your stop loss. Okay, there you go. I stopped moving mine and I just honor my stop loss and it works better. I'm not saying not to trail. Of course, I trail all the time. As soon as my displacement happens and I'm getting into profits and, I start considering to move my stop loss, but it's based on market structure, not random. Let me just put it here so I can protect these profits. No, I follow a process. All right. Now, once I get past 1 to 2, 1 to 3, I usually start trailing very tight because, like I said, 1 to 3, that's solid, man. 50% win rate with 1 to 3, you're bankrolling. Okay. All right, let's keep going. This video is getting a little long-winded. All right, action steps this week. Write a process. That right process is greater than outcome mantra and repeat it daily. Remind yourself that your process is more important than winning. Your process is more important than losing. Okay. Your process is more important than the outcome. All right. Your process is more important than your P&L, than all that stuff. Your process, you can slowly make changes to improve. But if you're making emotional decisions, then you're at the whim of the market and how you're feeling. That's not what you want. You want to be strong and grounded in your process. All right. So your process is greater than the outcome. Okay. Tell yourself that. Remind yourself that. Sticky note it. Do whatever. For each trade, For each trade, log whether you followed your plan and not just the results. Okay. For each trade, you need to log it. You need to journal. Did you follow your plan? If you did, get out your kindergarten chart. Boop, gold star. Let's go. Good job, me. I get a green card today. Oh, you moved your stop? Red card. Go sit in the corner. All right? Do this kind of stuff in your brain. Do this with your stuff. Or do this with yourself. Seriously, it'll help you. I did goofy things like this, and it does help. I didn't quite have a kindergarten chart, but man, I'm about tempted to do it. Put it up behind me and be like, look at all my gold stars. And then you guys would look down and be like, dude, there's a lot of red cards. I'd be like, I know, I'm working on it. All right. Share one losing trade this week that you're proud because you followed your rules. This is huge. This is huge. When I want to share stuff these days, I kind of want to talk about what level I bought at, why I bought, where my stop loss went, why, and where my take profit is. And like, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my process. I don't want to be proud of my P&L. My P&L depends on how many contracts I throw on it. How many contracts I throw on it depends on where I'm at in my profitability and my risk assessment, right? So all that stuff is irrelevant. It's just numbers. It's a calculator. This is what I should do. This is what I should risk. It doesn't matter. But I want to be proud of my process, right? I got a friend who trades like a Bitcoin a trade. I don't do that. I'm never going to have his P&L. Well, I'm not saying never, but I'm just saying at the time, right now, if we trade together, I'm not going to have I'm not riding a whole Bitcoin on a trade. That's insane. So I'm not going to have his P&L. So what I'm going to be proud of is my actual process. All right. So write a weekly review. Where did I choose to be disciplined instead of right? That's huge. Where did I choose to be disciplined instead of right? it is good to have the corrective stuff and to give yourself the red card and take away the gold star and all that, right? But it's almost more important to say, when and where did I choose to be disciplined instead of right? Okay, I had one of those today. I took two trades. One stopped out in a little bit of profit, and then the other I took and did pretty well. And it was like a 1 to 3. So I was proud of that. And then I was kind of thinking, like, I was feeling a little bit of FOMO. Market starts moving. I was like, and I almost jumped in. And immediately I'm like, no, I'm good. I've hit my thing for the day. I'm done. Like, it was good. It's part of my process. Let me just back away and not enter on a FOMO trade. And I'm glad I did that. And I mean, I was rewarded because the market turned. Now, I probably would have gotten stopped out in profit because it did displace through, and I would have trailed appropriately and all that. But um, still, I chose to, when I said I was done, I chose to follow through with that instead of get back on. Now, the other day when I went on tilt, in the morning, traded, got wrecked, and then I did what I never do. I got back on in the afternoon. No, that was a red card day. That was to go sit in the corner, send a note home to your parents, you know, little Johnny, here's your dunce cap. That was a dunce cap day. Okay. And that's all right. We're still going to have those days. I mean, you talk to traders who do this for a living, that sit in a smart money building that's hired by some, for real investors. They go through that too. Okay. So don't beat yourself up on it. Be positive. Where did you choose to be disciplined instead of right? Be proud of yourself. Final quote. You can be right or you can be rich, but rarely both at the same time. Tom Hougaard. There you go. Okay. What do you want? What do you truly want? Right? What do you want to feed? Your profitability machine or your being right machine and your ego machine? You got to choose. Okay. I really hope this has been encouraging for you. This is just so good for me to go over as well. I'm getting so much out of this. You guys can download this for free. You don't have to give me an email. I'm not doing anything like that. You just click it and download it, and you can go over this study guide, get the book, read it, and start applying this to your day trading. And I really feel like it's going to help you. So anyways, we'll see you in the next video.